My entitled sister demands that I give her a $10,000 loan so that she can have her dream wedding exactly as she wants it. But now that I've told her no and that I don't have that kind of money laying around, she's turned the entire family against me, as she has them somehow convinced that I'm the selfish one and not her. And at this point, I honestly don't know what to do. Here's what happened. This story also came from the Am I the Jerk subreddit. Check the links in the description if you would like to submit your own story. Okay, so here's the situation. I'm a 28-year-old male and I have a 26-year-old sister who is getting married in a few months. We've always had a bit of a rocky relationship. Growing up, she was the golden child, always getting what she wanted, and I often felt like my needs and accomplishments were overlooked in comparison. This became even more apparent when we both started getting older, and I noticed that whenever she had a problem or wanted something, it was always expected that I'd be there to support her, even when it was inconvenient for me. Well, now she's planning this huge wedding, like really extravagant. She's talking about a destination wedding, fancy venues, and a designer dress, the whole works. She's already racked up a huge bill, and a couple of weeks ago, she came to me asking for a loan of $10,000 just to help cover some of the cost. She mentioned how my other sibling, who by the way has a lot more money than I do, had already agreed to contribute, and it's just expected that I'll do the same. Now, here's the thing. I don't have that kind of money lying around, and I've been working hard to pay off student loans and save for my own future. I didn't feel comfortable dipping into my savings for something that I feel is frankly a bit excessive. I politely told her that I couldn't afford it, but she became really upset and said that family helps each other out and that I should be there for her, especially since she helped me when I was in a tough spot a couple of years ago. And for reference, I had a health issue that set me back financially. Now, I tried to explain that while I appreciated her past help, I am not in a position to help with her wedding, and I don't think it's reasonable to expect me to give such a large sum. She then got really angry and started telling the rest of the family that I was being selfish and unsupportive. And now most of my relatives are siding with her, saying I should just make it work for the family. I'm honestly feeling really conflicted. I know it's her big day, but I don't think I should have to sacrifice my financial stability for it. So truly, am I the jerk for refusing to help pay for the wedding? Because right now, I don't know what to do. Before we go any further, the original poster has a lot of updates they want to share. Here's what they had to say. First of all, I want to thank everyone for your feedback on my initial post. I've been reading through all the comments and I'm trying to take in the advice and perspectives. I honestly didn't expect the response to be so overwhelming, but it's been really helpful in sorting through my own feelings about this situation. I wanted to share an update since things have progressed since I posted. After I turned down my sister's request for the $10,000 loan, things did not go well. She was furious, and as I mentioned before, she told the rest of the family that I was being selfish and unsupportive. At first, it was mostly just her and a couple of other relatives siding with her, but the situation quickly escalated. My mom, in particular, has been really pressuring me to just help out because family sticks together and it's her big day. It's been really uncomfortable, and honestly, the guilt tripping has been non-stop, but I still stand by my decision though. I'm not in a position to hand over that kind of money, and I'm really focused on my own financial stability. I've been working hard to pay off debt and save up for my own future goals. That being said, I did offer a compromise. I told her I could contribute in a more reasonable way, like helping with smaller expenses like maybe the decorations, rather than giving her a huge loan. But she was not happy with this and said it wasn't enough. The situation with the family has gotten tense. Some of my relatives, especially on my dad's side, are more understanding of my position, but a lot of others are still on my sister's side. There's been a fair amount of pressure to step up and support her, but I'm honestly holding firm. I also realized that I have some deeper feelings of resentment toward my sister that I had not fully processed yet. Growing up, it always felt like she was the golden child, and I was the one who had to work harder for everything. So the whole situation has just been a reminder of that dynamic. I guess I'm still processing some of that old tension, and it's making the situation feel even more complicated. But in the end, I've decided that I'm not going to let guilt or family pressure dictate my choices. I can't afford the loan that she's asking for, and I don't think it's fair to expect me to compromise my financial goals for her wedding. I've tried to be clear with her, but at this point, I'm just trying to navigate things with as much peace as possible. Okay, honestly, good for you for sticking to what you think is right and refusing to give in to this kind of demand. Anyone, and I mean anyone, trying to be like, wow, you need to give $10,000 to your sister. It's the right thing to do. This is what family does. Like seriously, what are you talking about? The most I would be willing to give is maybe $1,000, if that. But $10,000, that is a huge amount of money. And for the entire family to be like, wow, why can't you just do that? We don't care that you don't have that money. You need to go into debt so that your sister can be happy. Like seriously, that's what they're saying right now. They would rather you have some kind of like financial strain instead of, I don't know, actually making ends meet. Like this whole argument is so irrational, it's not even funny. So no, you're not the jerk for refusing this stupid demand because your sister and your entire family family who are supporting her, in my opinion, are incredibly selfish and very entitled. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. My job is disorganized and chaotic, as I'm trying to find my way through this serving job at a restaurant that honestly has no organization, and at this point, I honestly don't know what to do. Here's what happened. To start things off, I am so frustrated and pissed off that I have no one to vent to that would even begin to understand. For starters, I recently stepped down from managing and I'm now back to serving. And this is a large chain that's just a step above Olive Garden. And guys, it's a joke. Tables aren't pre-bussed ever, and then the tables just sit there unless a manager or myself busses them and turns them. Servers just let plates and glasses stack up and then leave them on the table. Also, no servers are using kitchen words like behind, sharp, corner, etc. No one's helping each other out, and no one's filling the ice or running clean plates from the back or filling peppers and vinegars before service. The bartender can't make drinks in a timely fashion. I'm talking 20 minutes to get a bar drink if it's not just a straight pour, and even then it's that long. There's also a list of items from both the bar and the kitchen on the 86 list, and when we run out of something, it's not communicated to the staff. So I'll have a table with calamari and then fire the app. When I go to the kitchen to ask where my app is, I'm told with a shrug, "Oh, we're out of it." And now I have to go back and tell them that we're out almost 20 minutes later. The guy in the dish pit has literally thrown dishes at me when we still have 30 to 60 minutes of service left, and he refuses to wash any more dishes. We're supposed to just deal with it and stack them somewhere else until he closes the pit and leaves. And then the same freaking guy who does the least amount of work always gets the best section and the best tables. He cherry picks his tables and just moseys along, still not pre-bussing or bussing his own tables. And I'm honestly so over it. I had a 12 top last night and was immediately sat a 6 top and a 2 top. And I thought to myself, this is no big deal, or rather it would have been no big deal if I had a team to work with. Their bar drinks took so long and their food came out looking like garbage for presentation. I take orders and put them in according to seats, so I don't have to auction food. But even the managers just shouted out. Then, because the kitchen staff doesn't communicate, we had simple pasta dishes placed in Expo way before steaks were even done. So now half the food is old and cold. Oh, and don't even get me started on Expo. There is no method to the madness and things just sit up there. People will just take things that they think are theirs while other orders are left sitting there because now we've got to wait for an item to be remade while the rest of the food is sitting there in an open Expo where customers can clearly see it. I can work with many different mistakes, but when they happen all at once and all at the same time, I kind of lose it. I was also left nothing on a $400 bill due to things that were out of my control. There's only so much banter and comps one can do because my God, things have definitely changed since the last time I was serving. Wow, that situation sucks. I can't stand having coworkers like that, especially in a restaurant. Like, my God, everybody needs to do their job for things to run smoothly. And when people are being lazy and not doing their share of what they need to do, it literally screws up the entire night. Because pretty soon, if there's no organization, then everything's behind and everybody else is going to suffer. And that is not fair for you in the slightest. You don't deserve that. That honestly is so annoying. So I know if I was in your shoes, I would definitely be looking for another job. There is no way I would ever want to put up with that because having coworkers like that is truly obnoxious. Am I the jerk as the maid of honor for asking the bride of a wedding to give the total cost expected from each bridesmaid? Because right now everything's been very ambiguous, and yet still the cost of this wedding is slowly adding up. Because at this point, I'm worried that people won't be able to afford anything for this wedding. Okay, so I am the maid of honor for a friend getting married. She is pretty young at the age of 24, and so are the bridesmaids. Most of us are in the broke postgraduate mindset, except for one of the bridesmaids, who is about 10 years older and another who is still a student. When asking us to be in the wedding party, the bride made it clear that she expected bridesmaids to pay for our dresses, alterations, and to be present for the rehearsal and the wedding. She offered to either pay for makeup or hair for me, as I was the maid of honor, but said the bridesmaids can pay extra to have those done the day of the event. For the bachelorette, she was clear about what she wanted, which was a beach house in Rhode Island. We are splitting the cost for the rental, which is about $300 each, and I made a budget of about $250 for groceries, split amongst 5 of us for the 2 days. And this does not include going out to a bar or dinner during that trip, which I estimate would be an additional $75 per person. While it is expensive, I really do want this weekend to be lots of fun, and I think we can keep it on the cheaper side if we're smart about our groceries and anything else. Now, there was no budget going in, so I've been figuring out how to do a more cost-efficient but fun event, and the costs are definitely adding up. However, with the bridal shower, there is again no budget. budget. I am hosting, and the bride sent over a list of about 30 people who will be attending. I have no idea what the budget is for this event, and I'm having difficulty laying out the run of the food and the events and the decorations, as well as the party gifts for everybody. The other bridesmaids have expressed concern about the surmounting cost of everything, and I honestly do agree. Things are adding up from the initial expectation of paying for the dress and the alterations. So I spoke with the bride about this, and she said that she thought that we could just come up with the most cost-effective way to manage these events. But I countered and said that it would be easiest for the bridesmaids to understand the total cost that they were expected to incur for the wedding, including dresses, alterations, bridal shower, bachelorette, and any incidentals. I politely argued that we need to have an idea of what's expected of us, and it's not on us to create and manage the budget for her wedding. We're all happy to contribute and all want this to be fun and successful. She has said that it's normal for bridesmaids to pay a lot for weddings, but I reminded her that we are all on the younger side, and that's something to be mindful of. I have been trying to mitigate any tensions between the bridesmaid and the bride, just to keep the stress off of her and handle the conversations with the bridesmaids. I asked for a clear spreadsheet of our expected expenses so I can speak with the bridesmaids and make a plan. And with the wedding 5 months away, I think this is really important. So am I the jerk for arguing with the bride about this? Is it normal for bridesmaids to not know what's expected of them? I don't know much about weddings or being the maid of honor, and I want her to have an amazing wedding without breaking the bank for the other ladies. What should I do? No, I don't think you're the jerk at all. I think what you're doing is totally reasonable, and I think it's really important to set some kind of expectation. So for the bride to be like, okay, this is what I want, and then never giving any kind of financial expectation from everybody involved, that's just annoying, and that's only going to cause conflict. So no, you're not the jerk for trying to figure something out, because I think what you're asking, in my opinion, is completely reasonable. Am I the jerk for asking my roommate to shop more frequently, all because there's no space in the freezer for other people to use? Because now they're being incredibly annoying, and at this point, I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So I'm a 19-year-old female in college, living with 4 other roommates, and we all pretty much eat microwave food that goes in our freezer. Now, we have a very small freezer, and for the first half of the year, it wasn't that bad to fit stuff in it because our 4th roommate wasn't really using it and we all shopped lightly. Recently though, I've noticed that our freezer is literally packed to the point that I can't even close it, and I've noticed that it's food that they all kept in there for weeks without eating it. I have exactly one thing in there, and it barely takes up any room. For perspective, said roommate just went out and bought food for the next 2 weeks, literally taking up all of the space. I texted the group chat and asked them to reorganize and consider other people's space when shopping for groceries, and for them to eat them within the next week. My roommate said, I'll eat half of my stuff in the next week, and then just brushed off my request and just said that it'll be hard to fit stuff no matter what because it's a small space for 4 people. That felt very dismissive and like she's refusing to come up with a solution that's fair for everybody. So I texted back and asked point blank if she would shop for groceries for the next week instead of 2 weeks from now on. She then sent back a pretty angry sounding text saying that she shops when she wants to and doesn't feel like going to the same store every week. And at this point, I have no idea what to do. I really want space for the freezer. I talked to my pops about this and he said either you buy fresh food or put your foot down with them because they're being selfish. I'm going to try and buy fresh food to put elsewhere, but it's hard for me to eat them before they expire so quickly. Being a college student, I really just want quick, easy meals. So did I push it too far? Am I the jerk in this situation? Because right now I'm honestly so frustrated. No, of course you're not being the jerk. These people are being unreasonable. They're taking up the entire freezer space and it's leaving you on the lurch and it's leaving you screwed out of any space at all. How is that fair for you? They seriously are shopping for 2 weeks and they're trying to be like, well, I don't want to go to the same store all the time. And it's like, dude, you're taking up all the room. And it really would not be fair for you to buy your own fridge and freezer, some kind of mini fridge for you to keep all your stuff cold, because that sucks. That really is not something you should have to do. So the fact that they want to try and be like, well, I'm just not going to make any room for you, that is so unfair and I would not put up with that for a second. So truly, I don't blame you for speaking up because the way this roommate's acting, in my opinion, is incredibly selfish. Am I the jerk for finding my neighbor over a used diaper in our condo driveway, as I am absolutely sure that she's the one that left it there, thus violating our HOA guidelines? Because right now, I really don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, to start things out, I live in a 4-unit condo building and I own half of it. My neighbor moved in about a year ago and recently had a baby. And this is where the situation comes into play. A used diaper ended up in our shared driveway. Since no one else in the building has kids or wears diapers, since we're all over the age of 30 except for her baby, I messaged her to ask her to remove it. On the first day, I sent her a polite message asking if she could remove the diaper, but she she denied it was hers and told me to prove it. On the second day, still nothing changed. So I followed up with a notice reminding her of the building's bylaws and rules regarding common areas. And I also mentioned that non-compliance could lead to fines. On the third day, there was still no action. So I sent her a fine notice via PDF explaining that all fines would be absolved if the diaper was removed. And this led to the following text exchange. I sent the PDF with a notice and I said, please see above. Refer to bylaws for any questions about the deadline. She responded by saying, well, I'll just be ignoring that. So you pretend that I have to pick up a dirty diaper that you are just assuming is mine, with no evidence, by the way, and I would be leaving a newborn inside my house with no supervision just to do what you want to do. You definitely don't have any common sense. I responded by saying, please just see the notice and consequences of not complying. She said back to me, well, you have no emotional empathy at all. You're the worst person that I know. You don't care about other situations. You don't even think that I'm just by myself with a newborn with postpartum depression. You just care about your stupid rules. I responded back by saying, I understand that you're going through a lot, but I need to set clear boundaries as described in the bylaws. The expectations outlined in the notice apply to everyone and must be fulfilled. Now, to add some context, I lug the trash bins to the curb for the whole building every week without complaint, even when they're overfilled. If I go out of town, no one else will do it, and the bins are overflowing when I return. So I don't think it's unreasonable to expect her to clean up after her baby, especially in shared spaces. I feel like I'm being taken advantage of here. It's not my job to remove her baby's waste from the common areas. I sympathize with her situation as a new mom, but I don't feel like that excuse leaving a dirty diaper in the driveway or refusing to address it. I also feel like she's deflecting responsibility by making it about empathy rather than the diaper. So seriously, am I the jerk for issuing a fine over this? I genuinely feel I've been reasonable, but honestly, I'm kind of second guessing myself. What should I do? Okay, I don't think you're totally the jerk, but I think in the future you need definitive proof that she's the one leaving a diaper in the driveway. Because from the sounds of it, you don't really have anything other than like making some kind of assumption. What if someone dropped that off as they were driving by or something like that? Or maybe like a raccoon dragged that out of the trash from another neighbor and brought it to that driveway. I know you're making the assumption that yes, this is the diaper of this lady's kid, but also you don't have like video evidence or anything like that. So there might be a situation where it's like, okay, maybe this lady is telling the truth, even if she's being rude about it. But for the record, just so we're all clear, I think she's absolutely lying. I think that diaper absolutely belonged to her kid, and she could take 2 seconds to put her kid in the crib, run out there, pick it up, and throw it away properly, and it really would be no problem, and she would avoid a fine. But without some kind of like definitive, yes, it was you kind of proof, like video evidence or picture evidence, for me, it just wouldn't be enough to justify that kind of fine to be placed upon them. So no, I don't think you're the jerk for trying to issue a fine, but also in the future, maybe set up some kind of way so you can get absolute proof that she's the one that did it, especially if this happens in the future. Am I the jerk for refusing to move for my wife's job promotion, all while we're in the middle of getting divorced? Because right now she is very pissed off and I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So my wife and I are currently going through a divorce, and together we have 3-year-old twins. We also both work remotely. My employer is local, but I convinced them to let me work remotely full-time, while my wife works remotely for an organization based in New Jersey. A few years ago, we intentionally pursued careers that would allow us to work from home, just so we could make childcare just a bit easier. My wife travels for work several days each month, sometimes for a week or more, and during those times, I take care of the kids on my own. I have no issue with this, and I'm happy to step in as the primary caregiver when needed. Recently, my wife informed me that she has an opportunity for a promotion, but it requires us to relocate to either New Jersey or Pennsylvania. We currently live in Texas, where much of our support system is based. My parents, who live nearby, have been a huge help, often babysitting the kids overnight so that my wife and I could travel for leisure. Most of our friends are here, and I'm very close to my family while my wife isn't as close to hers. They all live in different states. Before we started the divorce process, I mentioned that I was open to the idea of moving if it ever became necessary, but we never made any firm decisions about it. Now that the opportunity is here, I've expressed that I don't want to move given that we're divorcing. I'm not willing to leave Texas, as I value the support system we've built here, and I don't want to be far from my family, especially given that custody is very important to me. I can't imagine being away from the kids, especially after everything we've been through. Financially, she earns significantly more than I do, although we both have high incomes. The promotion would provide her with a generous raise and a relocation package, which would offset the higher cost of living in New Jersey or Pennsylvania. If we moved, it would actually result in a significant decrease in my take-home pay, as I wouldn't have the same relocation benefits and the cost of living would be much higher. I would essentially be taking a financial financial hit to make this move. My wife is upset and feels that my decision is going to hinder her career advancement. Our divorce has been relatively amicable up until this point, but this has created a lot of tension, and I'm worried it will make things more contentious moving forward. So seriously, am I the jerk for refusing to move for her job promotion during our divorce? Because right now I don't know what to do. Okay, maybe I'm alone on this, but I really don't think you're the jerk. It really sounds like you want stability for your kids and for your life in general, and that, in my opinion, is really important, especially for twins who are growing up. And sure, everything's amicable and it's probably working out, and I think you probably would have been willing to move for your wife, but guess what? This person's about to become your ex-wife. You guys are getting divorced for one reason or another, and I think it's just not fair for the kids to be ripped up and moved away in such a manner. But that's just my opinion. What do you think? Do you think the original poster is right, or do you think they're being unreasonable for not being willing to move? Leave a comment down below. We would love to hear what you have to say. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist at the top of the description. And if you want some chill music to put on in the background, check out easymode.com. If you like Am I the Jerk, subscribe to Am I the Genius. Everything will be linked down below in the description.